I've always had a real soft spot for people who are, sex trafficked and, you know, molested when they're young, as well as when they're older, or, you know, or even a friend try to put something over on them sexually, a simple flirt that's just way too put way too far, or exposing themselves or whatever. But like, you got to admit it hurts your feelings, because if it's a loved one that does it, you're shocked, you're stunned, you're not sure why they did it, you're not sure if you led them on somehow, by body language, or you know what I mean. It gets to be a blame game. And I've had this feeling a long time. And when people say, I understand, you always understand, Paul, there's things you understand about me that I'm not sure why. And it's like, well, yeah, I grew up alone. And you know let's say you're 14, you're on your chair there, you're jerking off, you got the TV going, the dog's like 2 rooms away, can't be seen or heard, and you're full tits, you got your dick right going there, the dog runs right up on you, just goes right for your dick. You're like, why? What is, like, why? Like, why? And then it takes you a long time to realize that you were hurt, and continually question yourself, much like a woman when she's sexually accosted or assaulted. They're obviously questioning themselves all the time. They don't ever want to feel sexual ever again. They don't want nourishment that's just shallow. They think it's flirting for the purpose of you know you know like, if a man tries to you know compliment a woman that's been touched, it gets to be a little bit, you can feel it, whether it's you or you're just listening to it happen. You can feel it. You can feel a very push off attitude, where you feel like somebody's in danger, you know, but you can understand, and you just have to let things happen. Like, it takes counseling, and it takes good people around you to heal properly. And I've seen one of the Epstein survivors on the TV, and they're a PR, they got public relations, they're a spokesperson, they're a trainer, they do, their public relations skills have to be, utmost. They can't not be like that. It's what they're born for, right? So they're facing themselves every day, and just to show these people love is like it's a lasting impression, but you can't do it as a reward for yourself. You can't take the reward and run home and be like, oh, look what I did. It's not like you tried to break somebody's arm that was fucking around with a young girl. That's a reward. That's a fucking reward. It's not, you know, it's not a personal endeavor. It's watching somebody heal naturally. Now, for years I thought, well, I must have did something to make the dog fucking lick my nuts there, and he kept trying to get my dick, and I was trying to block it with my fingers, and it took me a while to figure out that it was just obviously his nature, or he'd seen, or somebody else had done that to him. It pissed me off because I couldn't tell my stepfather figure, because I assumed he would just, blame me or whatever the fuck, you know. Or maybe it was just his nature. Maybe he just, I just, I had to keep telling myself, oh, maybe he thought I was fucking around with food or nothing, but I wasn't making noise. I was just jigging my dick, and you know what I mean. There's blame there, and it's just, when you think of it, it's just like being touched. You have to remind yourself, oh, I was touched in a certain way where I was most uncertain of the outcome, as well as, you know, the rest of my life, right? But knowing full well it's not my fucking nature. It's not my problem. You know what I mean? But when it's human, it gets to be a little bit more real, like really bad anxiety where you're always afraid of people being violated. You're always trying to be proper, you know, not smell and put people off or act out while they're suffering and while they're having an anxiety attack because you can feel it. Certain words, you just go, you talk to somebody and then you walk away and then you're like, oh my god, something's missing. Something I've should have thought before I spoke, or maybe chose calmer words and been more intuitive. But not telling people about this shit is like, so later in life is like, well, they're like, oh my god, it's the same thing as having, it's a family dog. He's well loved. We all loved him. Nobody ever beat him. You know what I mean? Like that. It just, why would he want that from me? Type thing. What did I do wrong? And it's the same thing in humanity, except it's a bit more lasting because humans are infectious. And some people are antagonistic, ignorant fucking cunts, and they make it the most horrible experience. Much like the Epstein people, they put these women on a platter and put them on a pedestal, make them matter very temporarily, but they don't fit into the general public anymore because it's a seedy sexual scene. They every time they feel needed in these, in particular, generalized public, they feel like they're violating, much like what I said, they're violating the generalized public appeal as well as conduct. And that's the main reason I believe that all this has taken so long, is because all of them won't come forth. They keep pitching all of us, and all of them won't come forth. Now, the fact that they've gone back and forth repeatedly obviously is a sustaining issue that the law is obviously going to look at. Like, they're in control. They chose the second time it happened to make it happen. The third time they were out with a guy or a chick, they made it happen. They wanted to be away from their peers. They wanted a different echelon of people, always dressed properly, party atmosphere, a free roaming leisure experience. Much like the whole vacation scene where you're pushing for complete leisure, rest, relaxation, sexual arousal. You want to be pleased, and you want to please that person so that they're not demeaned, or they can behave like they did something proper, or like they're not doing something wrong. Right? And they don't want to be fucking bugged about it every fucking day. They don't want to be reminded through paganism or some stupid goofy fucking symbol, 666, the beast. I don't want to be reminded that these people are desperate exhibitionists that are hoping to catch someone's attention through symbolism or an archetype god or a faux religion or some fucking stupid fucking thing. Like, there's nothing worse than bands and musicians using symbols and then acting a different fucking way. There's no point, calling your band 666, the beast, and then acting like a fucking stupid fucking cunt and never giving a fuck about paganism behavior, and they say paganism behavior is just like normal, what I'm doing right now. I'm conjuring intelligence and trying to provide spirit, and they say that's all that is, because it's not the way of the world, and they're right. This is a backdrop of society I'm creating. It's not a forefront. It's not like a food aid or an AIDS benefit thing, or, you know what I'm saying? It's not pertinent that this be seen, heard, or felt. Homelessness, food aid, uh, saving people from war, that is forefront. That is news-worthy material. It has to be seen because people need to know that that is what's real, and that's abuse, neglect, lawlessness. They have to know these things. This is, like I said, this is paganistic behavior. It's creating an idea without me being there to back it up or to tell you that you're proper to feel the way you feel after this is over. You know what I'm saying?